Hi, I'm Tommy Russell with DP4 Racing, and this is the Cali Rally News Update, hosted by Jason Hess from Liquid Molly. Let's see what they got for us today.
My name is Jason Hess from Liquid Molly. We've got a stacked show for you guys today. We've got Jeff Goldsmith from Automission Motorsports, the one and only Tommy Russell from DP4, and our special guest today is David Clay from Racing Tracks. David Clay, what's happening out there, man?
Hey, it's awesome to be here with you guys. Thank you.
David, what's happening out there, buddy?
And I got to be honest, when Tommy came to me and told me about this 3-day platform of this race, we got super excited and we're like, man, we've got to be involved. This is too cool.
It is, right?
It's just kind of taken off from there.
Nice. And this is going to be the official tracker for the Cali Rally. So everybody that shows up on day one is going to go over to the Racing Tracks booth. Is that how it's going to work?
Correct. So something a little bit different. We're not using the regular unit that we use in BITD or Legacy or King of the Hammers. We're keeping kind of a simpler version where it's just tracking. It's just a box that we're putting on your car that is going to put a dot on the map. We're going to be able to monitor everybody where they are on course compliance. We're going to have a lot of virtual checkpoints out there to make sure everybody hits those. We're going to monitor speed zones. This has a safety device where you can connect your phone to it. You can message us. And so if you're out in the middle of nowhere, we're going to be able to communicate with you. And it's just going to make the whole entire race run a lot smoother and be a lot safer. Nice.
Very cool. So how is it when hooking one of these things up? You know, if someone's never hooked one of these up to the car, is it very difficult? What's kind of the process?
This is it right here, my friend. 2 wires. You got
nice. Tommy, you got that?
Yeah, I love it. It's got 2 wires. How simple can that be?
2 wires. You have a hot, you have a ground. Inside, we've already built in a fuse, so you don't need to do any type of a fuse. If you could hook this to your battery, where you have constant power all the time, so if you need to shut off your vehicle and walk away from it, your tracker is still tracking, and it just keeps sending us messages, keeps letting us know exactly what's going on.
Very cool.
And Dave, tell them about how it's going to be mounted.
So
how simple.
This little guy right here is just going to be mounted with 2 pieces of Velcro, which we'll provide. It's going to stick somewhere where it has good line of sight to the sky, either up on the roof, on a dash, in the very back of the vehicle. We're going to put some zip ties on it where it makes sense to do that, to secure it. But it's going to be completely simple. You do not need to see this since you're not looking at a screen. There's no pass alerts, there's no stop alerts, so you still need to be very aware of other racers around you. But this is just doing the tracking, and so it's going to give us a lot of different options on where to mount this on your vehicle.
Well, good deal, man. All right, so what about when it comes to, again, let's go over tracking from your cell phone or on a website. What's going to be some of the best options out there for folks at home to track the racers?
So come race day, you have 2 different ways of getting to the link, racingtracks.com or dp4racing.com. There you're going to see a live link for the live race day map, and you're also going to see a live leaderboard link where we're putting everybody in order on their corrected time on who's physically winning. So even if you started in a class that was stacked with 25 racers and you're number 20th off the line, but you're hitting those points quicker than everyone else, it might be moving you up to 1st, 2nd, or 3rd on the live leaderboard. And with the 3 days of racing where we'll compile all of that together, it's really going to make it easy keeping track of where you're at with your competition.
Nice. Now, with the different days, obviously these guys are going to be stacked up with racing. Do they have to is it power down the unit and charge it or anything? Or what's it like, you know, after you get done with racing day 1? Is it just as simple as shut the car off and you're ready to rock for the next day? Or is there any kind of process anybody needs to know out there about this?
No, from the day that we plug it in and turn it on, which will be at contingency, you don't touch it. We're going to have you tracking every couple of minutes during the race, but once you cross that finish line, we're going to go and we're going to send an over-the-air command to your unit where it's only tracking maybe once an hour. So it'll just keep it alive, but you don't have to do anything. It won't drain the battery on your car. It uses very, very little power. So in the morning time, we'll turn everybody up back to 2 or 3 minute tracking so you're ready to go racing. and then we'll slow it back down the next day as well. On the very last day, we'll remove the actual tracker. You'll leave the power cable on your car, and it's too easy.
Nice. I was just going to ask how we finishing up, but okay, so that's as simple as at the end of the race, everybody will unplug the unit, get it back over to Racing Track's trailer. Done deal.
And so this just needs to stay powered on at all times. There's going to be a penalty if you have it on a switch where you turn it off and you turn it back on. Every time this thing physically gets turned back on, it sends a reboot message saying that it just got turned on. So if you're doing that, thinking that you can game the system by shutting your tracker off, short coursing, and turning it back on, you're not going to get away with that at all.
The question I have is how often does it update during the course of the race? I heard you say 2 or 3 minutes. So is it a constant update? Is it a delay to it?
There's always going to be a little bit of a delay in satellite tracking, but we're talking sometimes between 20 seconds and maybe a minute at the most. We'll set the tracking for this event probably at every 3 minutes. We might do it to 2 minutes. I have to decide and just see how many racers we have in one small area, but every couple of minutes it's going to be updating and moving across that live race day map.
But also maybe explain to them about how to switch from just your class to the whole race.
The actual, once you click on the live race day map, you're going to see an entire picture of the map, but there's not going to be any racers. And I get people calling me all the time saying, I don't see anybody. You have to click on menu. And then at that point, you can select all racers. You can find your class and you can select just your class, or you can type in an individual racer, have them pop up. You'll click on them and then you'll say hide menu. That'll hide the menu. It'll show you the map with all the racers that you selected on the map.
Can you tell us if this can track our speed, and is there any waypoints that we have to make sure that we cross?
Yeah, absolutely. And so before the race, we load a map file into every single unit. And so we're going to be able to monitor all of the different speed zones. We geofence those areas. And so we know going into it and coming out of it, anybody that occurred any type of a speed penalty. I will say we give you a little bit of a leniency so we can get down to the speed that you need to. So if you go 1 mile an hour over just for a couple seconds and bring it back down, that's not going to penalize you. But watch the GPS in your car. Make sure that you're staying at that speed limit that you need to be staying at. With virtual checkpoints, we'll be working with the organization to find any place that somebody might want to take a little bit of liberty in cutting the course. We're going to make sure that we have a virtual checkpoint at any given pinnacle, that we're also putting down negative virtual checkpoints in an area where somebody might want to cheat. That way, if you miss this one and you hit this one, there's no doubt that you didn't hit the point that you were supposed to hit, and you're going to get a penalty.
Yeah, and the whole thing is, those zones will be set up for speed control, as in the pit, road crossing, and the transfer section. So if you have a habit of sliding into a check or a road crossing at Mach 1, it's going to get you. So before you hit those yellow flags, you got to be at that controlled speed. So, basically the road crossing checks are 15 miles an hour. So make sure before you hit that yellow flag, you're at that speed limit, because if you come in there hot, about 3/4 of the way, you are going to get tagged by the tracker.
Another quick cool feature about the Racing Tracks tracker is you saw at this last Best in the Desert race where there was different times where we had racers crash and we had to shut down the course. We had to get medical coming in to take care of the situation, and a lot of vehicles were stopped, and they wanted to know, well, am I still on the clock as far as racing? Because when you go through the start line and the finish line, your transponder, they're just getting a start time and a finish time, but it doesn't take into account those stoppages on the course. But that's where we really come in, is because we can see in any type of an incident if we need to stop the clock on different racers, see how long they were stopped, and then we can give you that time back later on. This also includes if you stop to help another racer with a medical issue, please stop and help them. We will give you your time back. We will credit it back. We have all of that information, and that's the cool thing about the tracker, is we can make sure that you get everything that is due.
If you have to make adjustments, will that be done every evening?
Literally, we can get that information pretty much live on the spot. Like with the Best in the Desert race, when we knew that there was a blockade where they stopped the racers, we actually dropped a pin in live time just past that. And so as racers started again, we got their exact time on when they started. Then we just went back into the tracking and we looked at when racers got to the point that they got stopped. And so we were able to have that information before the end of the race even happened. So we'll work really close with Tommy to get that for sure.
Guys, well, that's it for Cali Rally News. Hopefully you guys enjoyed spending some time with the whole crew on board today, including David Clay from Racing Tracks. If you guys missed out on anything here and you want to ask a question, leave it in the comment section down below on any of the DP4 channels, and we'll make sure to touch base on it in the next show. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you next time.